Okay, let me know when you guys can see my screen.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining in today's BRICS seminar. For those people who do not know me, I'm Preeti. I work as a PM with Dr. Matthew McAuliffe on the BRICS project, and we are excited to have you here as we plan to review a couple of BRICS modules today. Before we start, a couple of things that I wanted to mention in here. Slides are frozen. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You might want to just try to maybe just share and unshare, or unshare and then share again. Might help.
Yeah, the slides are not moving for me for some reason.
I can share for you, Preeti.
Okay,
And then,
yeah, thanks, Andrea. Yeah.
All right. Just give me 1 second. Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Andrea. I can see it.
Okay, great. I'll go back. Sorry.
Yeah,
All
no
yours.
problem. Yeah, so please keep your microphones muted throughout the session, except when asking questions. We want to avoid any static noise or any background sound during the presentations. Today's session, it will be recorded, and we'll be posting both the recordings and the slides on the BRICS website under the URL that you see on the screen. We encourage you to participate, ask questions. Throughout the session, you can post the questions on the Teams chat. We will be monitoring it and answering it as we go through the different presentations. You will also get the opportunity to talk and ask questions after each presentation, and we would definitely encourage you to do that. With this, I'm going to hand it off to Dr. McAuliffe to introduce our speakers and the topics for today.
All right, thanks, Preeti. So this is our November BRICS working group. Very excited to show two updates on two modules that are part of the BRICS whole system, and that is the meta study module, which actually has two. You'll learn more about this, but it has two primary functions. One is to support meta-analysis, but this particular module also supports the submission of data as a repository. It doesn't go into the database and make all the data searchable, but this is the second part of the functionality of this tool allows data to be easily shared and uploaded into the system. And we've had some nice upgrades to it. We have a new version of BRICS coming out in early December that include Globus functionality, which is a higher speed transfer mechanism to move files, upload or download files much more efficiently. And we're also going to be talking about ProFoRMS. ProFoRMS is our electronic data capture tool. It's an awful lot like OpenClinica or REDCap. It's 21 CFR compliant, so you can do clinical trial study with it. It has all the kinds of functionality. I think you'll see this during the demo, but it has all the kinds of functionalities you would expect. Okay, next slide. Yep, and you see a number of the BRICS tools. And again, we're going to focus on the ProFoRMS tool and the meta study tool. But you can see there are a lot of other modules that are part of the BRICS ecosystem, the data repository, the data dictionary, where we support common data elements, NLM common data elements that are developed for specific projects that are part of each instance of BRICS. And we have some other tools like a data mapping and transformation tool to help with the submission of data into the actual database part of the system. Next slide. And I'm not going to go over all the different kind of tools. This is growing all the time. These are the other modules that make up the BRICS system. We support not only just phenotypic or form data, we support imaging data. So you can actually upload and download imaging data, view that imaging data when it's in the repository. query across studies, query within a study, and because we use common data elements we're able to query across studies, as well as some other tools, specimen tracking, biomaterial sample support, and so forth. Okay, next slide. And so with that, I'm going to hand it off to Michelle Harris, who's going to give an in-depth talk of meta study. All right, Michelle, it's all yours.
Great, thanks, Matt. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Harris, and I'm part of the FIPR operations team. I'll be discussing the BRICS meta study module. What is a meta study? It is a flexible data store designed for the management and storage of both primary and secondary data from research studies. Initially developed to house meta-analysis, it has since evolved into a comprehensive repository. In line with NIH data management and sharing policy, the meta study module supports NIH's commitment to maintaining a high-quality data repository that enhances the fairness, which stands for findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable of research data. The main use cases for the meta study are: 1, meta-analysis. It facilitates aggregation of data from different studies within the BRICS repository module for meta-analysis. It accommodates uploads of data external to BRICS to be included in the meta-analysis. Second, it acts as a data store or repository. It facilitates storage of data from studies that do not have a requirement to upload data to BRICS, to the BRICS repository module. It supports NIH data management sharing policy. Please note, data stored inside of the meta study data store will not be validated or stored in the data repository module, and it also will not be queryable. So study investigators are not required to align research data with the NINDS common data elements when uploading data to the meta study module. Data can be uploaded directly, and the meta study supports various file types. The file size limit for a single file upload is 100 gigabytes, and the total file size limit for all the meta study files is 300 gigabytes. There are controls in place for data uploads, and administrators can adjust these limits as needed. The information within the meta study can be cited in publications using a digital object identifier, or DOI, which is generated when the meta study is created. The DOI starts in the draft status and becomes published once the meta study is made public. The NINDS Office of Data Science Strategy contracts with a company to generate DOIs through DataCite, ensuring that the meta study's information is easily citable in research publications. Let's take a closer look at the meta study. Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing for 1 second while I bring up the site. Give me 1 second. All right, so let's take a look at the meta study. So let's click on here. All right, so this brings you to the meta study overview page that shows all the available meta studies. Users will see only the published meta studies and the ones they have access permissions. I'm logged in as administrator, so I'm able to see all of the meta studies, which includes the ones in draft and awaiting publication status. So over here on the left side, you'll see filters to help refine your search. And also over here on the search bar, you can search for any meta study along with the metadata within that meta study. So let's create a meta study. So we'll just click create meta study. Here, you just put in everything with the red asterisk is required. You want to put in as much information as possible to ensure data accessors have proper information regarding your study. So let's put in some information here. I'm just filling in the red asterisks just for time purposes. Let's click continue. So bring it to the meta study details page. Here you're able to put in information about your research team. The primary investigator is required, so I'm just going to change my role here just so we can get through the demo so I can show you. Also, further below, you can enter information about your funding. So just choose DoD here. And a little further down, there's a table here. You can enter in your grant information. Also, you have the ability to enter keywords about your study, and this will help your study become more searchable on the meta overview page. All right, so we'll create and finish. All right, so now your meta study has been created. So if you're interested in, I'm sorry, not interested. I guess if you're ready to upload data to the meta study, what you would do is you'll find your study on the overview page. Once you find it, you'll click on Edit Meta Study. Up here, you'll see multiple chevrons. So if you just come over here to the documentation chevron, here you're able to upload any documents, or you can enter any URLs that's relevant to your study. On the Data tab, or Data chevron, it will allow you to enter in the actual data of this for your study. And you can either enter it, by file, or you can enter it by the directory. So you have a couple of choices for now. Over here on the permissions tab, this is where you would grant access to your study. Like for example, you may want to grant access to your research team so they can upload data also. Okay. So let's, so that ends my demonstration. I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment. I have another slide to show. Let's bring up my. So the meta study is continually evolving with new features and functionalities still to come. Here are a few highlights. So you'll have the ability to data transfer with Globus, which is a platform for secure high-speed data transfers. We will allow users to request or archive. We will allow users to request to archive or delete published data, and also give them the ability to cancel those requests. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening. Any questions?
That was a great presentation demo, Michelle. I appreciate it. The data, is there an expectation to submit well, I'm going to ask, is there an expectation that all data submitted has been de-identified?
Yes. When investigators upload data, it should be de-identified. So they would have to de-identify the data before uploading it to the meta study.
Right. So it's their responsibility to do that. Okay.
Correct.
Yep. And then so it's private initially, and then after some period of time, if they want to share it more widely, it can be published. And that's when it gets its official DOI. And I did want to mention that our DOIs are generated from DataSite, and that is through the contract from ODSS. But even before it's published, you can share access, as Michelle showed, to permissions to other users if they need to look at it. But there is a workflow process. You still have to, go through the data access committee to get an account and be able to set up your meta study. So there's still some workflow to this whole process. It's not just for pure, it can be, but it's not necessarily just publicly shareable data. This is still somewhat controlled data. All right. Other questions, comments? All right. Again, thanks, Michelle. Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And our next presenter is going to be Andrea Lutz, and she's going to give a detailed demo of ProFoRMS, which is our electronic capture tool. It's all yours, Andrea.
Sounds good. Thanks, Matt. So yeah, I will just get right to it. What is ProFoRMS? ProFoRMS is a protocol and form research management system. It provides tools for protocol management, data capture, and is a clinical trial research module. Its main features are listed here. I'm not going to read through all of them, but I do want to point out that it is 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, and many of its features are customizable, such as the e-forms, visit types, etc. Right. ProFoRMS is the main module used for the PDBP groups for their data collection efforts. There are over 40 PDBP protocols in the ProFoRMS module in our database. And many of those are multi-site protocols. So for instance, as you can see depicted here, some of our protocols have sites all across the nation or world, and then they can contribute to one study, and then that study data is viewable in our query tool. All right, so let's get to the demo. Okay, so to access ProFoRMS, users can either click the tab above or click on the icon here. I'm going to go ahead and click that. All the protocols are listed in this table below. Only users that have been given access to the protocols will see those in this table here. I'm signed in as an admin, so I can see all protocols in here. For today's demo, I'm going to show you one of our multi-site consortium studies. Okay, so to select a protocol, you'll click on the protocol number link here. Right now, no protocols are selected. Now I've selected one. Let's go to the Manage Protocol and Protocol Information section. So you'll see here that this protocol was created from the Dementia with Lewy Bodies Consortium study that sits or is housed in our data repository module. Below that, these are the protocol details. You can have eBinder settings to view, patient self-reporting settings to view and customize. And then these are all of the different protocol sites that contribute to this consortium study. All right, so let's move on to the creating a visit type. Okay, so here, this is where users or protocol coordinators can create their custom visit type. In here, they'll enter the visit type name. They'll give it a description if they please. And then from this table below, they'll select the e-forms or data collection forms that they want to add to their visit type. So for instance, they might want to select a demographics form, and then they'll have the option to decide whether or not it should be required or optional form for that visit. And then they can also determine whether or not that form should be self-reporting or not. Once they've added all of their e-forms to the visit type, the visit types get saved in the My Visit Type section or tab here. So let's take a look. So you'll see here, these are all of the visit types that have been added or are associated with this protocol. And then these are all of the e-forms associated with each visit type. All right, so now that we've looked at that, let's take a look at our Manage Subjects tab. So opening this up, this is where you can view, add, or schedule a visit for your subjects. The My Subjects tab, these are all of the subjects that have been added to your protocol. To add a subject, users will go to the Add Subject tab. And then from here, the subject management or GUID table will open. Users will search for the GUID they created, or just if you see it like I do in this table, they'll select the GUID they want to add to the protocol. And then they'll designate a site subject ID. So this is typically unique to what the sites want it to be. So maybe the consortium study says this 001 and whatever it may be. And then they'll save, and that adds that GUID or subject to their protocol. So once that's been done, then the user is able to schedule a visit for them. So we'll go down to the next tab here. All right. So in here, to schedule a visit, users will just select the GUID that they want to schedule a visit for. I'm going to pick this one. They'll select the date and time of the visit. I'm going to select now. You can select a visit ahead of time. A lot of our coordinators, they'll be doing pre-preparation and they'll select visits and prep for an upcoming visit ahead of time. Now, you can't collect data ahead of time, but you can schedule it and have that prepared. I'm going to pick today's date though. Okay, and then you'll just pick the visit type from the drop-down. This age and years values appear. This is the age at their visit. Users will then add or schedule that visit. Okay, we'll see it was successful. All right. And then if you need to edit the visit, so EVP, all you need to do is select the GUID you want to edit, select edit. Maybe they can't come in today, they have to come next week. You just change that there and update that visit. But I'm going to keep it for today. All right. So now that we've done that, we've added the subject to our protocol, we're able to collect data for them. To do so, we'll move on to the next tab, which is right here, Manage Data, Collect Data. These are all of the different subjects that have scheduled visits. So we're going to look for mine. Okay, just select the GUID you want to collect data for, and then click on Start Data Collection. This takes us to the next page where we'll select the e-form or clinical data form we want to begin work in. I'll just do a demographics one for today's demo. I'll start that collection. Okay, and then this brings us into the what we call an e-form, clinical data form, ECRF. You'll notice on the left-hand side, there's a legend that has the different statuses and icons associated with that. This is the status of the form, as you can see. Down below that, these are all of the e-forms associated with this baseline visit type. You can see here, the ones with red asterisks show that it's a required form. The ones without are not. You can navigate between the forms by clicking on these form links, and then it'll take you to the next form. Or you can use these buttons below to move back and forth between forms. Okay, over here, the required fields, something for PDBP, these were customized to us. we have this required field section on all of our e-forms. You'll notice here that the little icon indicates that these fields are pre-populated for us. And then we also have auto calculation capabilities and different rules that can be applied to these questions. So users will just go ahead and fill out the form. If they made a mistake, they can unselect and so on. So I'm just going to go ahead and complete the form here. Okay. So now that the form is completed, there's a couple options. Users can save and exit, leaving the form in progress, or they can save and lock, and that submits the form to the study and for completion. So I'm just going to go ahead and save and lock and show you what that does. All right, so the form's complete. I'm ready to submit it. So this pop-up will appear. Now for PDBP, we just have users select this checkbox confirming and acknowledging that the data is accurate. There's also an ability to have users sign in this field. This way I know some sites and programs want that extra kind of ability there. So that's another option as well. For PD, we just check it. And then users can either lock and move to the next e-form, or they can just lock and exit. So I'm going to do that. All right. That brings us back out into the My Collections table. These are all the collections right now. You'll notice here, I'll just filter on my GUID I was working with. The status is now locked with a lock date. And so what will happen here is that the demographics form from this protocol gets submitted to the study in the data repository. And then that data can be viewed in the query tool. So let me take you there and just show you what that might look like. All right, so I was working in the consortium study. And we looked at the demographics form. Okay. So tomorrow I will be able to see my demographics data in this table with all of this other data from this study. You can see here, these are all of the other sites that are associated with this one study, but they all have their individual protocols and they all submit to the same study, which is why we can see all that data compiled together here. It's not a query demo, so I won't get too much into this, but you do have the ability to download this data and do analysis offline and QA and make sure that your collections, you're staying on top of collections and requirements. Okay, now I will skip over back to ProFoRMS. Okay, and so another thing I want to point out is reporting. So we also have ability to produce different reports through this module. I'm only going to take a look at a few, but here is a protocol report. This shows us all of the different protocols and the number of subjects enrolled in those and forms administered. And then we also have completed visits reporting here. And again, this shows protocols, number of subjects on each of those, and how many visits are completed for all the visit types. These are downloadable. And again, a lot of this stuff can be customized if you're working with your team and really in need of something that will help your study. So yeah, that concludes my demo. Any questions? In the chat too. All right.
I had maybe a question actually for the group. As you've seen this demo, are there things in ProFoRMS that you feel right away that might be missing or we need to add that functionality? Because what's unique about this program is that the BRICS program is that all the software written for the BRICS application is all here local at NIH. And we can go in and modify, add new functionality as needed to meet the requirements of a particular project that we're working with. or to better meet ODSS's, goals for strategic plan for data sharing. So I think that's what makes us unique from others is that, well, one, we have a complete system from collecting the data, setting up common data elements, the form structures, setting up a study within the repository, collecting that data, whether it's imaging data, omics data, or the form data or phenotypic data here. And all that data gets associated with a unique ID using our PPRL system. That is, we call it the GUID. And all that data can be linked together. And this is all in one system. And what really helps us also is in this process of security. And security is a very important topic and is something that we take very seriously. And we work with the rest of the CIT, and that we go through an A&A process to make sure that we meet NIST standard 853 and meet all the controls that are required for us to be FISMA moderate. The alternative is to have multiple different systems and each system going through their own A&A process, getting their own ATO and so forth. So anyhow, I was just really trying to say at first that we control all our software. We add all the new functionality into the system, and the new functionality that goes into the system is, partly directed by you as our stakeholders. I know we've been working very closely with NEI and adding some new functionality and making sure that we meet their stakeholders' needs and add that functionality, which are often very similar to Parkinson's disease or FITBER for traumatic brain injury, but sometimes also very unique. So with that, I did a lot of talking. I'll open it back up if there are any questions. And/or recommendations, feel free to reach out to us, send us an email, send me an email, and I'm happy to meet with you to kind of and get the team together, appropriate team members together to address your input or questions. But well, thanks, Andrea. Great demo, appreciate it. And I think we can probably tie it up here and give you a few more minutes back to your day. But yeah, we'll see you all on December 12th. We'll actually we'll have our Thor release out by then. Lots of new functionality, improved performance, as well as improvements across all the modules and new functionality. But well, we're looking forward to see you on the 12th. Have a great Thanksgiving and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.